Where you like the real and say like it's a good
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to International Creators Meetup number 8. And can we all come in and shut the door please so that the cool air doesn't dissipate. So that we don't boil. So hi, hello. My name is Joel Lim. 5 years, coming to 5 years here in London. And about close to a year ago, myself and Fred, we said, hey, why don't we do something for expats or foreigners or what other name you want to call them. So we thought international is nice.
I think was not exactly how it was, Fred. What he said?
He came to me and he said,
yeah, so then from a little tiny group meeting in a park, now we meet at agencies, we meet at major players who are really good supporting. Can we give them a hand, please? Thank you. Thank you for hosting us with drinks and pizzas and so on. So here I've got some announcements, so please bear with all this. Thank you. Yeah, welcome. Done. Yeah, what we believe in networking, obviously. We believe in helping creatives navigate the local culture better. So when I first got here, I didn't understand how you know, the British, the English will communicate. You know, sometimes it might be worth means I want you to do it. It's interesting means it's shit. So yeah, stuff like that. I had to understand. And we believe in learning from one another, so that's why we have, when we have our meetups, we want it to be educational as well. We want to learn didactic, you want to take something out of it that could help us. We want to include more people from outside of advertising, because advertising is so easy, right? But there are so many other cool creative industries out there, from film to animation to music to theater, and art, fine art, and so on and so forth. We want to include these groups of people as well. That's our dream. Just to let you know, we have this new to London guide. I don't have it here, but we've created this cool as fuck PDF. Cool AF, right? I used to wonder what's cool autofocus, right? Cool autofocus, no, it can't be that. Yeah, it's cool AF. This like a PDF, and it's really cool AF. And we've got Michele and Sanzi. Hello, Sanzi's over there, thank you, and Michele, yeah. And they are the creative team that made this. I think it's nothing like this exists in London. It gives you an introduction, like how to find a place to stay, what else, how to find a gig, and so on and so forth. How to HMRC stuff, tax stuff, money stuff, and so on and so forth. So we want to publicize this, and we hope that you will download it. I will upload the URL, the bit.ly link, so I can keep track of how many downloads. I want to please download and please share with people who are coming into the country or who are new to London. Lastly, before I introduce Steph, Andre, where are you? Andrescu, yeah. So okay, so this guy over there, where are you from originally?
Romania.
Romania, yeah. You all right? There's one more here. Okay, so yeah. So I think he's kind of a creative tech genius. You know the Xbox. What's that? Snipe to meet you. Selling media space, Xbox media space, to get gamers to recruit gamers to join Blue Team or Red Team for Halo. Do you guys remember? Yeah. So it's one of the many great ideas, and he's recently just created this game called Battle Tracks. Nothing to do with Halo, but he after the meeting, would you like to quickly come and just introduce the game to us? We'll talk about it. We've got no presentation or anything. I'm sorry. You can't steal my thunder.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we'll talk about that after that. Okay, so Steph, without much further ado, I wrote here, is a multidisciplinary creative slash strategist slash writer slash filmmaker slash films, no, slash mentor. So she's are you a creative hybrid? Are you?
I'm just a whore. No, I'm joking. No. Oh, okay, the audience didn't like that. It's not that funny. Okay, noted. Okay, now people are laughing. That's good. No, I just get bored really easily, like a lot of creatives do, and I don't like the label thing, so I like to push myself and do things that make me feel uncomfortable. So, yeah.
So thank you very much. So give a hand to Steph. Hamill. Can anyone tell me the significance of Hamill?
Mark Hamill, are you related?
No, but my son's called Luke Hamill, so that's even better.
No, really? That's like cool AF. So anyway, Luke Skywalker.
Do you guys get that? Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill?
Are you guys all millennials? Because millennials will get it. Generation X will get it, yeah. So.
Okay, so firstly, thank you so much for having me. I come at this from a slightly different perspective. Everyone kind of looks at me and goes, oh, she's just like a 10th generation white British girl. But actually, I have a really, really mixed kind of background, family-wise, lived all over the world from childhood, and that's been a massive, it's been massively important to how I am and how I behave and what I've learned and the way I kind of look at things. So it's been quite interesting kind of being advised by the guys. But firstly, also, secondly, actually, sorry, thank you so much for coming and making me feel really nervous. But typically, if I give a lecture or I speak to people, it's at St Martin's where I go once a month and I'm mentoring a lecture. You're all adults and you're all kind of in careers and things, so this is a much tougher audience. And you're also a great warm-up because I've been invited to do a TED panel and go to New York and do a couple of talks. So hi! If this is too worthy, tell me afterwards because I can totally change it. But also, if my humour's a little bit askew, tell me that too. Let's go. Okay, so I love social media, like way too much. So that's me. I will always follow people, I always chat to people, and I'm really guilty of being distracted by it in meetings. And also Snapchat. Someone else had taken Steph Hamill before I had. I was really upset by that. Let's go. Okay, so I don't like rules. I never have. Precocious child, being moved around a lot, all the rest of it, I will always be in trouble. And I think that advertising is unfortunately littered with rules that are completely unnecessary. And it takes quite brave people to break away from them, or change them, or move them, or push them away from work, the environment, the agencies, and from friendships to anything else. Rules are supposed to be broken, otherwise we can't progress. So I know this is going to sound silly, and I don't know if anyone's going to do it, but I would like to get up and dance.
And dance?
Yeah, because no one stops a meeting like
Let's dance, y'all. Let's dance.
I feel like this is not about it. Say hi to the person next to you if you don't know them. I've changed things. I've changed what you expected from this talk, and I hope no one else does that for a while. So should we click on? Click on. Click on. Over. Huh?
Was it in the previous round?
No, it's in presenting mode. View. Yeah.
Ooh.
Can anyone fix this? Anyone zoom out? Yeah, we'll be able to do this. Sorry guys!
I like it.
It's always good.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, I got you first.
And now we've got it.
No, I really like it.
Sorry guys. Now nothing. The fact that we're all kind of judged on, what we've won, or whether or not our peers give us a kind of like high five and say, oh my god, look how many lines they've got, how many pencils they've got. This is not about that, because it's a bubble we've created for ourselves that doesn't actually really exist. It's a terrible thing, but ultimately, if you make something that's really good, all that should matter is that people like it. So the one thing that really kind of like hits me hard is the fact that we always kind of go, oh my god, campaign Thursday, who's in there, who's done this, who's done that. It shouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. All that matters is your client's happy. The people who are watching or interacting or viewing something or enjoying it, getting something from it, and it's advertising that works, or creative that does something and makes an impression or changes someone, because it's really powerful what we do. I'm going to ask a couple of questions. Anyone feeling brave? No. I'm going to pick on friends then.
Can we ask questions?
No. Not yet. Okay, I'm going to ask someone over here because I don't know you guys. Is anyone feeling brave enough to tell me what their favourite ad of all time is, or favourite kind of piece of advertising or website or anything? Anything that really sticks out from childhood, or,
Actually, the new campaign for women with hygiene products for women. So,
like
it's
body talk,
basically like tough women campaign. So it's moving away from the idea that women just go swimming on their periods. It's 2 hours.
But they're the ones that really resonate with you.
Yeah, it's an online campaign with women playing rugby, playing sports. It's like real.
This girl can?
Huh?
Is it this girl can?
Maybe. Yeah.
It sounds like it could
Yeah.
be. But that's something that really stuck with you and made a difference in your life. Anyone else feeling like there's something that really stuck out for them? Tell me.
I just think I have like 2 different types of ads. They are the one that I love and I always remember them, and the one that I hate. And I really like when you see really annoying music, it's like and I hate this music, but I have this music all the time in my head. So I remember this even if I don't.
But that's brilliant. That's fantastic. It's done its job. Okay, anyone else? Come on, someone else has got to give me like a childhood ad. Great, go for it.
The Guinness advertising.
Which one? The Guinness?
Guinness.
Which one?
All of them, but the one where the guy gets splashed by a car, when the car's driving past, gets splashed by a puddle. The woman who's standing waiting for the bus laughs at him, so he grabs her, pushes her into the puddle, and then falls on top of her.
I've not seen that one, but it sounds amazing. Anyone else being touched? Or like, yeah.
The Robbie Coltrane one.
Yeah, that one's amazing. They're all kind of like iconic ads. The AMV guys did, they've consistently kept that account for years, and the reason being. But they also spend an absolute fortune on it, so they get what they pay for. Okay, so personally, my favourite was an R-White's lemonade ad from when I was a kid. Because the guy was an idiot, and it was really funny, and the music was silly. And it was slapstick comedy, which now as an adult I actually really hate. But as a child, it was just this guy creeping around the house, getting caught by his wife, having a glass of lemonade in the middle of the night. Reality being he was probably looking at porn or misbehaving at the same time. But they turn something that is a natural kind of entity within a family home, or something that people can understand, they can empathise with because it's their own lives. And they turned into something humorous that had a jingle and would stick in people's heads. The other reason I probably enjoyed it is because it was when I recorded a movie on VHS, and it was in one of the ad breaks, and I probably watched it a million times. That was the other reason. But there are days that have gone, but it really did. So it's good. Yeah, this. I'm sorry, I find it really quite boring. Like, everyone loves to win an award, but there's so much great work out there that smaller ad agencies make, and they don't have the money to put them forward for the application process for awards, or they don't have the backing of the client to put them forward. There's an amazing story from one of the business directors when I was at McCann. When he was working at Saatchi's, a couple of creatives created a print ad piece that, I think it was for Land Rover, the client didn't want to run, and the creatives were like, if you get them to do it, it will win awards, guaranteed. So the client was like, I want you, to the business director, to drink a pint of your own piss.
It's amazing.
That's the only way I will run this ad, and you'll get it in one newspaper on one day, and that's it, and then you can put it into awards. The business director believed in his creatives so much that he actually drank a pint of his own piss in front of everyone. What? True story. And they ran the ad, they put it forward for a bunch of awards, didn't win a thing. But the relationship between that business director and his creatives was so strong that off the back of that, they are actually the AMV creators now who did the South African Guinness ad. There you go. So yeah, so those guys, because they've had so much support from so many people, they are some of the best creators I've ever known now. Like, they're amazing. Okay. Getting back to the whole kind of award thing. Now, we often kind of play it safe when it comes to award time, or we go, oh, what's the next best thing? Is this a game changer? We use all the buzzwords. Can we please, stop using buzzwords when we put things through for awards? Andre and I have actually worked together on a bunch of projects that won a lot of awards a while ago. And one of the main things that we kind of emphasised when it was all happening, when we were doing the entry videos, just use real language. Stop trying to be clever. Just be real. So yeah, no more buzzwords, please. Balls. It kind of takes balls. I have a bit of an issue with the term balls because vaginas are much tougher. You can go on the balls, he's on the floor. Vaginas giving birth, all that stuff. But maybe actually someone in this room could rebrand that in some way. It might be fun. I don't know. But also, the other thing here is I'm the first female speaker that the guys have had. So and we'll get to that in a minute. But quite rightly, actually, because the statistics show that that's about average for the number. So, coming along at the right time, percentage-wise. So one of the things that I really, really kind of emphasise in the students at CSM, and there's been a big shift in the kids that I've seen going through in the last 3 years, and people kind of coming up, is be brave, be honest, and actually don't try and hoodwink people. They're way smarter than you. So everyone knows Working Girl? No? Yes? It's a really good film. It'd be really kind of worth your while to watch it. Full on 80s, iconic, cheesy music, wearing kind of like pumps and trainers, like marching to work, putting the stilettos on afterwards, you know, yeah, that kind of thing. Okay. Well, in this is a girl who has been put in a position because she doesn't have the right background. She doesn't have the right education. She doesn't have the right accent. What a crock of shit. Like, it's actually nonsense. There's an opportunity in advertising. This is something that we do really, really badly. We label, we pigeonhole. We're going to get to that in a bit. But have you guys, any of you, ever been in a position where you're not being accepted, maybe because your background's slightly different? From an international perspective, do people look at you differently because you won't understand our market. You didn't grow up with this brand, or you might not get it because it's like the colloquialisms, or do you get northern accents? Has any of the international kind of guys here ever had anything like that?
I think that most of people here, at some point when they moved in London, they have faced that.
Yeah.
Less or more or less. But
okay. Do you think that it's important,
or
do you think sometimes having fresh eyes?
You know what? I mean, right now, diversity, it's like the big word in this industry, but so if people want diversity, they have to trust people that come from different backgrounds, because
Absolutely.
staying with the same group of people that you all your life in UK, you have seen the same commercials, doesn't make sense because you keep doing the same stuff. So if you really want something different, maybe, some people from Brazil, from Portugal, from Greece, from Italy, from wherever they move here, they can make a difference. I think, I'm not sure, maybe.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
they say so, diversity.
We'll get a slide back, kind of a bit more about that in a minute. Okay, so with that in mind, now one thing that everyone's kind of been through poll testing, yeah? When you're putting something out, an ad or website or an experience. And how closely do you guys work with strategists? There's a strategist in the room, he's very good. Sorry. Yeah. You're a strategist, or you right? You're next one, brilliant. But yeah, no. So testing. So do people here? Which camp are you in? Are you in the creative set camp, or do you think that actually testing and strategy are valid points when it comes to creative, especially in an international kind of market? Anyone have an opinion on that?
I think testing is pretty important. I think to deny the validity of and the role of testing is very short-sighted. And actually, testing might actually save you from a lot of pain. Wrong creative decisions cost millions to the clients in the future. It's not your money, someone else's money you're playing on.
Minded to move going to be successful in any way, shape, or form. If you're not, then it's just absolutely.
Has anyone ever worked on a project where they've not had any strategy and nailed it? Okay, stay quiet. Let's move on. This is an element of interaction that's required. So I need as much from you guys as I'm giving. It is really important. Like, the one thing that's kind of that's coming forward again and again and again is actually strategy. The more the creatives, sorry, let's move on. Yeah, the more we can be honest as creatives and say, do you know what, we really need our strategists, we really need to collaborate with them, we really need their opinions. That's us being honest with it. But also the bravery that's associated with being honest. It's not just about testing, it's not just about strategy. It's about being honest with your producers. It's about being honest with your clients. Being brave, standing up to them. If they're making a poor decision, you need to have a team around you who you can bounce off and go, do you know what, they're making the wrong choice. We need to be honest with them and say, our relationship is so strong, we can come to you and go, this is not the right decision for you right now. We can do something better. This is the brief you've given us, it's not the right brief, guys. and collaborate, get them in a room with you, be honest and kind of go, this is how we think the brief should be written. Like, not just take theirs and rewrite it, actually collaborate before they send their brief over, or their plans for the year. It's about being brave and honest as a team and with your clients. It's alright. Okay, so statistics. So the whole kind of, I'm the 8th female to be here. Only 9% of creative directors in the world are women, which is nuts. Absolutely bloody bonkers, because women do most of the buying, number one, and also it's just a bit outdated and a bit wrong. The number of female creatives I've seen at CSM in the last 3 years, it used to be about 60-40 male to female. Now it's 55% female, 45% male. There's a really big shift coming up, and it'll be moving on. I'm not going to wang on about this because it's changing. Everyone goes on about women making a difference and women kind of like being behind us. We've done our job. It's already changing and it will keep changing. We don't have to keep banging on about it in a really obvious way. We can be a lot smarter about how we do it. And obviously everyone will get bored with us just being too gaudy, too. Let's be subtle, because that's how we do it in the home. Okay, now this one's really interesting. So you know what you were saying about diversity before? How many people over 65 write for over 65 brands? My mother's 76, she's an author, and I got her in to write copy for Show the Week. And everyone at the time was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why can't you get one of the junior copywriters to work on that? Like, there's not much. The junior copywriter won't understand the Show the Week market, guys. Come on, think about this for a second. She's speaking to her own people. And she, on a big campaign, fine, maybe not. But with this, it just made total sense and she nailed it super fast. I didn't particularly like the copy. It's my mother, I can be honest. But when I went into testing, it just absolutely flew. So, this is something that I feel quite strongly about. Also, recently I hired a guy who'd been in prison. And a lot of people, I remember Rosie and I had a chat about it kind of straight after. He'd only been in for drug offences, he was young. I met with him, met a bunch of people. They were all kind of walked in a bit cocky, I've been at this university, I've been doing this, I've been doing that. This guy was fresh, he was eager, he was hardworking, and he was honest with me. He was like, this is my background, this is what's happened, this is where I was before, I have a girlfriend, I have a kid, I did it because I needed money and I had no way out. And he got the demographic better than anyone else I'd seen. And it was a freelance gig, but it was fine. And it's something that I feel really strongly about. That we have a situation in many countries where people who are brilliant don't have the opportunity to show off their skills. It takes a lot of drive and ambition to get where they need to be, but also it takes a bit of luck and it takes people who can see it and give them a leg up. So if you guys ever have an opportunity to do that, or to work with anyone, or to mentor anyone, or work with young people, I've worked in schools where I've taught kids how to make websites and stuff, but underprivileged kids, do it. It's not for you, it's for them, and ultimately long term you'll probably end up working with them and they're going to be your boss. When, but this is really important. And then also, a bunch of, I have a son, he's 15, he's coming up to 16. When I was working at Time Warner on Cartoon Network and launching that kind of thing globally, I used to get him and his friends in to have meetings with global managers, and it really surprised them. They'd have a lot of fun. They'd have a day, I'd pair them up with a kid, and they'd go away, and it was the monotony of working on a brand or working on a project would be gone, and they'd have a smile on their face by the end of the day, and they'd come up with some great ideas. So this issue with age diversity is something that we really need to look at. And if you have an opportunity to work with people that aren't the norm, do it, you'll benefit.
I'm sorry to interrupt, I just want to play on that point. There are actually rehabilitation programs. So Brixton Prison has a program which we think. So it's a rehabilitation which they've set up working with prisoners who breakfast and lunch. No medical cutlery allowed, you're not allowed to do that. I've worked with somebody who's supposed to review on the food there, it's absolutely like incredible. I've got a guy who's flat with prisons in that same prison, and they have all their products in the Cafe Miro. All because it's about rehabilitating people and giving them a chance once they leave prison.
Yeah.
And giving people who aren't used to given a chance to have a chance.
Oh, I love you, Nick. Go ahead. So yeah, no, we all have an opportunity to do something like that. Or, I didn't know about that, now I do, and now everyone in this room knows about that. And the nature of kind of conversation, probably about, I don't know, 5 to 10% of you will maybe talk about that again, or go to your agency and say, maybe we should have a breakfast meeting then with a client. Do it. See you in a bit. Right. Okay, so, ethnic diversity in agencies, cultural diversity in agencies, and societal diversity in agencies. It's really bad globally. So I've worked abroad. So if you talk about London being quite difficult to kind of navigate at times, London's a piece of cake compared to other countries. Dubai, where I might be heading shortly for a little stint, it's really tough compared to this place. We've got it really easy in London because we are a cultural melting pot. We are a massive bubble and we don't even realise it. New York, similarly, great, but you know, think of all your friends who are going to Shanghai. Think of all your friends who are working kind of across the globe. Like Singapore, that's a great place to be at the moment because they're being very open to international influence. But this is something that we really need to consider, that we're very lucky in London. Yeah, so click again. I'm really emo. I love an ad that makes me cry. I love an ad that makes me smile. I love anything that kind of gets me to, like, even if I get angry at it, I'm like, what the hell is that? It's just something that really provokes a reaction. Not for the sake of it, don't get me wrong, that's rubbish. But something that actually hits a nerve in you, and it's different for everyone. Like, I love the way that everyone has a unique, you know, thumbprint or fingerprint. But actually, everyone, there's not one person in the world who thinks the same way as you do, even someone else could hate. But yeah, I'm a big fan of emotionally provoking, you know, pieces of advertising. So yeah, sorry. That's, you know, that's all you're going to get from me in the future. Okay, so I like this analogy. I've used it a million times, but I'm going to use it again. You can be the best tennis player in the world. You could be the most talented tennis player, but if you don't have the drive and ambition to get up that first thing every morning, you know, get on that court, work your butt off until you're dying, you'll never be number one. And it's the same with what we do. So if you're going to work, you're working on some shitty banner ads, which we all know are shitty, you know, like the bread and butter work, you're working on, you know, I used to date this ECD, and the one good thing I got out of that relationship is that he said he had a creative team, and he would always go to them for the bread and butter day-to-day work. And he had another team. They would turn up late, they'd be drunk every day, you know, they'd be an absolute mess, but he would always go to them for the magic, he would say, or like, you know, confetti cannons, this thing. And I really struggled with that because I'd worked with both teams. And the team who would roll in late all the time, and you know, we've all done that, we all got really drunk and we all turned up steaming, but you know, they really didn't give a shit about the agency, and they didn't give a shit about anyone else. But the other team, they really did, they cared. And I was frustrated because I'd watch them and I'd go, if only you would give them a chance to do something, or why don't you do something really cool and team them up with another team and get them all four of them to work together, or team them with a strategist and get a tri-team, or you know, put them in a proper team and let them fly with something completely different, something they're not used to, because their drive might get something new. And you know what, the other guys that you always go to for the cool stuff, get them to do the banner ads and maybe feel a little bit humble on occasion. So yeah, so no matter how talented you are, you've got to have that drive to always want to do better, or to strive, or to improve, or you know, not get the award, but do something that's going to make your mum cry. You know, that's you know what you should do, and obviously make the client really happy. So yeah, let's go on. Yeah, that's fine. So show and tell. How often do you guys actually do show and tells at your agencies? Do you show off the work you like, or do you have like a group email that goes around like, this came out today, it's really cool, have you guys seen this? Because the one thing I'm seeing a lot of is, over time, everyone's getting more and more insular within their teams and they're not sharing, which is really sad. You know, everyone's kind of like, oh shit, have you seen this really cool thing? I might try and like drop it into this idea or this piece of work, and you know, oh no, don't let anyone else see that. That's like, oh, stop it. You know, the strength in numbers. If you guys work together, if you hang out together, if there's a camaraderie that is dwindling, it's really dwindling at the moment. People aren't hanging out with their creative friends, you know, or agency teams as much anymore. People aren't hanging out and going for drinks as much. It's weird. I've seen it over the last like 10 years. You know, there's an opportunity there to, you know, if you want to work with people that you see every day, if you really want to work with them, not just sit next to them at a desk, but actually truly engage with the people you're sat next to. That's like, it's a bit of a challenge, and we've got into bad habits. So show and tell things that you are enjoying, you're learning from, and share them with everyone else. Game of life. Right, so, it's super blurry, sorry. Game of life. Who likes playing board games? Who still plays board games? When's the last time someone played a board game? Oh wow, okay, that's way higher than I was expecting. Now, has anyone actually realised that working in advertising is a bit like a board game? An epic game of life, or a really challenging game of chess. But it really is. Like, if you play Monopoly, chance card, that's your client, right there. Yes, it's true. Like, that's kind of how it works. But the thing is, the industry that we work in is quite tough. It's very sexy. We often forget that. We all kind of like, there's a glamour element to it. We get taken out for drinks, we get taken out for lunches, suppers, all the rest of it. There is a glamorous element to what we do. Actually, if you don't get taken out, tell your ECD off right now. He needs to kind of praise you and there we go. Moving swiftly on. But no, they need to make sure that you are taken care of and you are shown a level of support and praise, because I don't know. I'm seeing giggles over there. Do you not get praise?
Yes.
Do you get too much praise?
So often.
Oh, okay. Well, those guys. Fine. Yeah, but that's something like different people work in different ways. It's really important for a boss or a mentor to observe how people work. Personally, I'm a bit of an excitable puppy, and when I get pat on the head, you'll get the best work out of me, and I'll be like, oh my god, yeah, I'll come back for more. But there are some people who like to get smacked down and kind of go, I'm going to prove you wrong. But everyone's different, and if your boss doesn't recognise that, you know, you need to let them know, because their job's often quite hard. They're often kind of like pulled in all directions, going out for lunch with production companies all the time. You know, they just don't have time to see you. But it is really important that if they're not observing that, you need to let them know. So, who here is amazing at their job? Oh wow, yes! Okay, no, truly, like, yeah, Andre, alright, we know you are. But no, like, it's really important to say you're great at what you do. Because if you feel it in here, you know, it will resonate, it will pass out. It's a bit kind of feel good and all the rest of it, but it works. You know, for ages I was working with a creative partner who was quite negative. And he used to put me down a lot, and it really affected me. And then I kind of got the courage up to dump her. And I kind of soared after that. You know, my life got a lot better. And my work got a lot better, and my relationships with people at work got a lot better. So there's something really important about telling yourself you're great at what you do. Okay? Yeah. You may not know, so like, I know GIFs and memes are a bit kind of like done, but I love them, so I always use them. And there's something my son and I constantly message each other, new links and stuff, so there's not many more of these left, but they are little through. Okay, so you guys probably don't know this. I've had a really mixed background, like super mixed. I had a kid at 18, I had a kid all the way through university. Number one, how many single teen mums do you get doing media and like actually getting a decent job and doing well in their career? Very few, because they're pigeonholed, they're labelled, people don't give them a chance. Also, I've worked as a producer because at one point I needed to make money as a single mother. And I had to suck it up. I was a shocking producer, I'm not going to lie, but there were way more jobs doing it. So I taught myself and I did it, and that's why I became a hybrid. And off the back of that, I'm actually better as a creative because I understand things in a different way. However, a lot of people in advertising get super wiggy about labels. Like, oh, you're a producer, I don't really get that. Like, how can you be a CD and how have you moved up so fast? One, because I'm really hardworking. Two, because I've been freelance and I've moved around a lot, which actually means when you're going for hire, you have to adapt faster and you take yourself out of your comfort zone and you become better for that. But also, it's something that we really need to get rid of in agencies. If you want to have a go at doing some strategy, because like, I'm not being funny, the number of times we've done that, or your producer's been a bit shit and you've had to pick up on their work, or they've given you rubbish directors, or a terrible production company, and you've had to go and source things yourself, you're already doing it without realising it. So this hybrid element is becoming more and more common. You know, if you have a social media channel, you're already a content producer. So most of us are doing it without even realising it, and it's something that we need to get rid of. Now this is probably taking it a little bit far, but you know, I've kind of taken a step further, and I've started writing. Because I got really disillusioned with advertising for a little while. I got really upset with it because I found people weren't supporting me. So I started writing a script, a TV pilot, and with support from a few friends who worked in that kind of industry. They kind of gave me the kick up the butt to have the courage to do it, and this is really important. So it's a big jump, and it is a big jump from doing creative and advertising to writing a script for a TV pilot or a feature film. But do you know what? It's a challenge, and take it on. And I might not be an attack helicopter, but right now I can say I'm a scriptwriter, which is awesome. Now, becomes the end. But this was powered by Paul Randall because she's amazing. But if you have any questions, you know, the main thing I kind of want to leave you guys with is don't be frightened of doing anything. Don't believe any nonsense that anyone puts you down, or you don't feel confident at any time. If you feel you can, there's a lot of laughing coming on from YouTube. I really hope you give me a question, otherwise I'll probably ask you one. There's something that, what we do is really privileged. We're really lucky by what we do. It's a really glamorous industry, and we often forget that. So I think we should all be a little bit grateful that we earn really good money, that we are where we are, and that if we can push things and connect with people and be nicer to one another, we'll do even more great things. So yeah.
That's really good. Thank you very much. We want to have a few questions. Anyone have any questions to us?
Hi. Hi. What made you start writing for other stuff that is not advertising? Is that something that you always wanted to do, or is something new for you? What made you start doing that?
When I wasn't really tired from working kind of like 72-hour weeks on pitches and that kind of thing, and had some downtime, I got so used to kind of being like hate the term always on. I kind of felt like I was full of energy and I needed to do something else. So it was almost like it just spilled out. And it was kind of like something that I wanted to do to progress my own abilities. And as I said, I'm always trying to push myself out of my comfort zone. And that was a side effect of it. And turns out that actually, you know, most of the people in this room, if you've got an ability, you can push it to something else. Oh wow.
So you were talking about kind of bravery with your creativity and being kind of just really confident in your own ideas, and I totally get that, but how easy do you think it is to sway kind of clients within that? Because I suppose I work both sides, and I think I see the side of working in kind of content marketing, and actually it's very, very difficult sometimes to get a client on board, especially when you budget that sort of thing, to sway them, I suppose, to what they're thinking.
Interestingly, it's often you really have to lean on your account teams and the relationship that they have. The number of times I've kind of seen clients so kind of like sheepish around, account teams sheepish around their clients. You know, it's almost like they're too frightened to be upfront with them and honest with them. And that's where, you know, being their support and being, you know, from strategy and from creative, being supported team together is really important.
How do you get the landing with that bar drinking a glass of piss? I mean, there's other things.
Oh, yeah. You basically have to just kind of say to them, this is a bad idea, because you have to give a rationale.
Yeah.
Or you have to say, this is an okay brief, but you know what would be really good? And it's about giving reason and perspective and rationale. Once you do that, if you give something legs, then, you know, they will question it. And the questioning is actually a really important process. Because when you question things together, you often come to a different resolution.
Should we answer that question?
Sometimes if you ask the question together or you ask different questions, and that kind of jarring point is where if you get everyone in a room, even if it's over Skype, you know, if you can see someone's face versus sending an email, you know, that's the other thing. Everyone just bounces emails across rooms, you know, you're 20 meters away. Get up and go and speak to someone. You know, if your client's in another country and you can't actually get to them, jump on Skype and see their face when you're talking to them, or Google Hangout or something, because the way you interpret people, and this is the emotional thing again, being an empath, like that's really, empathy is so important to what we do. But seeing how someone reacts, seeing how someone behaves, understanding why they question something. If you're on a call, you don't see any of that. So I'm a big fan of video conferencing or face-to-face. Anyone else?
How did you start? What was your job?
I made a film at university that my lecturers hated. They got banned. Yeah, it was about male bulimia, and they were kind of like, where's the tube? And I was like, no, there's no tube. It's like actually there. He's vomiting, and I had cameras, and he's like filled in all the forms and everything. This is a long time ago, bearing in mind. But you know, this kid was actually like vomiting on the screen, and they banned it. So I really fell out with my lecturers, and I stopped just making films, and I switched to making websites for like the next chunk of the course. And that's where I kind of, you know, I had a kid, I bought a house, I got a mortgage, I worked, I got a part-time job in an agency, which is quite unusual. So I already had kind of like, by the time I left, like 2.5 years experience as a young creative while working. I forced my way into that place. I took like minimum wage just to get the experience because I had a kid that needed me. So I was forced into that situation. That's how I got my foot in the door. Any other questions?
Who are the people you like looked up to in that quite unconventional like start to the industry? People like in the industry and out of the industry. Who are the people you looked at and thought, I want to be more like them, I'm inspired by them?
There weren't any back then.
Wow.
There really weren't. It was kind of a means to an end, and I needed to get something out of me, and this was the way to do it. And the people that really influenced me were my friends, and kind of like how amazing they were, and then maybe a couple of lecturers. There were a couple of lecturers who really stood out. I went to Bournemouth University, which I don't know if anyone of you guys know, it's like one of the best media schools in Europe. And one of my lecturers was so incredible. She was also a single mother. And she was just incredible. She supported me so much. And she was someone I looked up to.
How important is this like competitive streak in doing this like any creative role to be ambitious?
Personally, I'd rather be competitive with myself. I don't like seeing how nasty it gets between people. I see how people put one another down. It's something I really, really struggle with. There's a lot of bitchiness in the industry. There's a lot of like nastiness. It really doesn't need to exist. We can all stop it right now. There's a lot of bullying. There's a lot of blocking going on. And it really has to stop because we're only undermining ourselves when it happens. So if anyone sees it happening as well, it's an opportunity to step in and kind of call time and go, that really should be happening. But if people are competitive, like the award stuff, it's a bubble, it doesn't exist. If people like our ads, stuff will sell. You know, the awards are a pat on the back for us. It's an excuse to have a party, it's an excuse to go to Cannes. It's not real. Be competitive with yourself. Know that if you've done brilliantly on one project, do even better on the next one. If there's a campaign that you excelled on, make it even better one next time. You know, have that personal competition. I give blood every 4 months. I go in, I like try and outdo my previous time. I'm like there, like wiggling. I'm like go. But isn't it? It's like it just doesn't make any sense to compete with one another. Support one another. You know, we're here to help each other, not compete and create an environment. But maybe some people like that. That's just me. So.
No. Sorry to annoy you all. So you quoted stats earlier, 1% of women globally are CDs and like what,
9% globally, 11% in the UK, but that's maybe London.
So apparently women are meant to be more emotionally intelligent, just through women.
EQ is higher.
Apparently. But I mean, what do you think has to change for that perception industry-wide?
I actually think it's old news. I think that everyone's getting a bit bored of hearing the same thing about it.
News if that's the statistic.
No, but it's changing.
Yeah,
So as I said, the statistics. So 3 years ago, the students that I had, it was you know outweighing girls. It's happening already. It's coming from the ground up. This is something that you know. You're a massive feminist. I'm a massive feminist. Not to your degree, but I fully support what you say. But there's a point actually where we need to be smarter about what we're saying rather than smacking people across the face with the same information again and again and again because they will get bored. It's like when you tell someone the same thing again and again and again, like I've done a few times tonight, people are going to switch off. So if you're going to tell people that things have changed, you're going to change a perception or how people view things or how people interact with things or how they execute things, you need to deliver it in a different way. Because you need to keep people engaged and entertained or excited by something. It's the same with the information about women. It is already changing. We were talking earlier, the number of people who are specifically saying now, I want a female creative team, I want a female CD, I want a female... It's like, don't hire someone because they have ovaries and boobs. Hire someone because they're absolutely bloody brilliant at what they do. Like you can't, you know, I got in trouble the other day for posting on Facebook when I really want a female creative team to come to the office. And someone was like, why can't you just hire a creative team? And I kind of went, well actually it's because there are no women in the office and I can't stand the smell anymore. And the guy's like, okay, fair point. But you know, there is a situation where like don't think that we are, you know, bang, 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 women. Hire people because they're absolutely brilliant. Give younger women an opportunity that it may not have had before because you're in a position of ability. But it's not just women, it's all elements of diversity. For example, someone who's an international creative who might not get a job unless you see a spark in them and you think, oh, they're working, they wouldn't understand Yorkshire tea. do you know what, they actually might better than you do, give them opportunity. So yeah, it's about thinking a bit bigger than just this like marginalised channel of misunderstanding.